Hey, it's Shop Talk, baby. It's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the court house. Nothing's excluded on Shop Talk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your King of Live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to Shop Talk with your girl, because right here, we keep it real.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. One day I'm going to get that sound right. Like, come on, Mike. What's going on, Roogle?
Man, chilling on a Saturday morning.
It is definitely that, a Saturday morning. Definitely that. We got a lot to talk about. First of all, let's see. Are you excited for school to start the school year? In the classrooms.
Yeah, I guess.
We're just like
excited as I could be. I don't have to be there.
Isn't that something?
Well, granted, I might go back in the spring. I don't know. Thinking about making a run for a PhD.
Hey, there you go. Ain't nothing wrong with that at all. At all. Running for the PhD. So then we call you like Dr. Roogle?
Yes.
And it better be that too, right?
Yes. Everywhere I go. If you cussing me out, put doctor in front of it. If you that paper, doctor. They're like, F you, doctor. That's okay.
Just call me doctor.
Better wage. If you want to give me a middle finger, just put a DR in front of it.
Do it that way. I am not mad at you at all. At all. All right, so let's just jump right into this. We know Florida is doing the mask mandate and not shutting things down yet, but in the process.
A mask mandate, though?
What'd you say?
They are going to do a mask mandate?
Yeah, they were having issues. Yes, they were having issues. Remember where people felt like, it was like use your discretion pretty much because they were getting a lot of pushback.
Well, the governor had said that any school district that put in a mask mandate would not get state funding. And state funding probably makes up about, in some schools' cases, maybe anywhere from 95 to 100%, depending on their poverty levels. So, if you have a school that is in poverty, they get some state funding. So state funding could make up about 80% of the budget.
Right. I did see that at the beginning, but then I had read, I'm going to double check, I read where they were putting that back into effect. So I guess, you know what, I'm glad you brought that up. Because it's like I was saying at the beginning, before, it was, you could wear it if you wanted because a lot of people were getting the pushback, but the numbers are going up. So I'm going to double check on that, but to my understanding, they were saying that they have to wear masks because the numbers were going up. But I don't know, how does that work? Because, I don't be dealing with the politics. How do you tell somebody, oh, well, you're not going to get this if you do that? Like, that's not okay to me.
Well, I mean, it's not okay, and I don't. Okay, be it that what happened to Youngstown when we sued the state about HB 70.
Okay,
right. The Supreme Court came back and said that the state has the sole authority over the school districts, even though it's designed to have local control. So, I think that if it was challenged, that they would probably they might be able to win.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know Florida state law, but the thing is that he's made it a political issue instead of a public health issue, and that's what this is. It's a public health issue. I would say like this though, there's some masks that I've tried on that have been like. Not medical masks, but masks that like, here's this nice little logo, let's give you this mask, right?
Uh-huh.
And this thing was so thick it had like I don't know, what do you call sweatpants material? Is that terry?
Cotton. That's cotton.
Yeah, but it was like that on the inside, and it had some other kind of nylon.
Was it swimsuit material?
No, it was a little bit. It was like thicker, like a polyester or something like that. But it was like impossible. Like I was like, this is terrible. Now, if you had somebody that had like a medical mask, I think you're okay. But I just think the issue becomes, what are these masks being made out of? And so if you get somebody who gets like an aftermarket, product that someone designs versus something that's considered medically acceptable.
Okay.
There could be some problems.
Now, yeah, surgical masks, but remember we had a shortage, but you're right. Well, now they say coverings though. So they're just saying coverings. So like, which way do you go? You don't know. I remember on The View, Megan had an issue because first she said, we need the mask. She bought all these masks. And then it was like, you don't need the mask. And now you need the mask. It's like, give me a break.
It's really up to you, I think. Because it's been times where when I've been out where I chose to or not to wear one. Just the environment I was going in. Now the thing is, I've been vaccinated. But the realization of that vaccination is not that it's going to stop me from getting sick. It's just going to reduce the severity of my sickness. So if I can have it be a simple, head coat versus a full-on respirator, then that's what I'm going for. But there are instances where I have no problem throwing one on.
Okay. All right. And there's some people that just like, okay, I'm still keeping mine on because you still can get it or you still can give it to someone. Now, I saw where in other states, matter of fact, Texas, where Texas was pretty much blaming black people for the COVID. Oh, yeah. Y'all better look that up. Yes. Y'all better look it up. It's something regarding the whole COVID and the spread of it and not being vaccinated. Oh, yeah. Look it up.
Black people?
Blaming it on the blacks. Blaming it on the blacks. And the news outlet that I got it from was pretty reputable. But y'all check that out. Because I like glance and look. I was like, what in the world? Way to go. Blame it. The blame game, always. I know you fact checking, so I appreciate that. And see if they change that, because they didn't want to have that in there. It looks like discrimination. But there are different states that feel as though the people that aren't vaccinated are the ones that's spreading it. And I'm like, come on. The ones that's vaccinated has, just as you stated, has a chance in being on a ventilator and not making it out versus being vaccinated. And the last one that I saw was 64% for the vaccination. 64% protection. Versus,
what I was saying was it's less likely that a person that's vaccinated would reach to the levels of sickness to need a respirator.
Yeah, and you do have your percentages, so understand that, lovely people. Because there was the talk before a few months back where it was like you wouldn't get it and people were saying, okay, I got the vaccination, I won't get it. But, you have a small percentage, and then you also have that small percentage of the people that actually pass and still being vaxxed. We want to pray for Jesse Jackson and his wife. They're both of them were vaccinated, but they're in the hospital as we speak. They say they're getting better, though. So, yes, that's the key. Now,
so
go ahead.
Your statement was in the, they said, I don't even speak Sunday. It was in the Austin American Statesman. I don't know if that's the name of their paper or whatever. But Dan Patrick says the unvaccinated black community is driving the COVID surge. We fact-checked him.
See? And so you have a person that'll say that, and it's like, why would you say that? You know what I mean? Just the unvaccinated, because there's a lot of states that feel as though that the unvaccinated are the ones that are spreading it, but even being vaccinated, you can still be a carrier. And at the very beginning, which I paid close attention to, lovely people, it was go ahead and get vaccinated, because if you were around the elderly, because remember the sick people, you didn't want to get them sick. But now it's like, oh, they're getting sick. It's just like, I don't even know. Who knows? Go ahead.
This is what the guy said. His name is Dan Patrick.
Okay.
He quote, Democrats like to blame Republicans on low vaccination rates. Well, the biggest group in most states are African Americans who have not been vaccinated. The last time I checked, over 90% of them vote Democrat. So they fact-checked him. And they said political fact says, they ruled on it. They said it's false. Here's why. Republican Lieutenant...
we know it's false. We know it's false.
Yeah, Dan Patrick asked last week to defend the Texas response to surging corona cases, blaming Democrats for the present COVID-19 wave, especially specifically African Americans, who he says are reliable Democratic voters. The COVID is spreading, particularly most of the, I guess this is from him. The COVID is spreading, particularly most of the numbers are with unvaccinated, and the Democrats like to blame Republicans on that. Patrick told Fox News, he said Laura Ingraham this. Well, the biggest group in most states are African Americans who have not been vaccinated. The last time I checked, over 90% of them vote. Okay, fact check. It's top Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, donor, the number 2 investigator in Regeneron. I don't know what they're even going into this. Backlash came from both sides of the aisle. Patrick's liberal critics called his comments racist. Alan West, a black Republican,
Listen, just you can sum it up. It was a guy that said it, and they said it was racist.
He was running for governor, and he was a former head of the Texas GOP. Called the remarks unconscionable, literally disturbing, and highly insulting. Then
absolutely, you don't even have to read it no more. But absolutely, we know that it's not true. We know it's not true. But I thought that was hilarious. I was like, "What? That's what we gonna do now? Come on."
Yeah, but you feel it like this though. The funny part about it, they're saying that in the nation we only make up 13%.
Right.
Of the population, and in Texas, we make up Hispanics is the largest group. They have 4.7 million. They're 44% of the eligible unvaccinated Texans. Followed by blacks, who are 1.8 million people, about 17%.
Okay.
So there you go.
And here's the thing: they were saying that we make up 13% because we don't fill out the census.
That could be true. I mean, I fill out mine, and I've interacted with some people who said, "Man, those people get on my nerves. Keep coming around here asking stuff." I'm like, they asking stuff for the betterment of your society,
in your community.
In Ohio, what's happened now is that because of our results from the census, we were going to lose a congressional seat.
Okay.
But
so doesn't that deal with the funding too? Public funding as well? How much monies need to go into that community?
Yeah, all that. Now there could be a true mass exodus of people from Ohio. It happens. People leave. From Youngstown, they usually go to Columbus
or Atlanta.
Or Atlanta. They might go Youngstown, Columbus, Atlanta, or they just go straight through. There's no what do they call that? There's no conjuncting flight. They just go straight through. Or they go to Indiana.
Wait, Nick. Go ahead. What'd you say?
I said, or they go to Indiana.
Okay, go ahead, Nick.
Because I was starting to do this since that was going on last year. But it's a shame in a lot of areas, especially in Youngstown. The list that I had, there was a houses that they marked as dangerous.
As what?
Dangerous. Don't even go there and knock on the door, because of the people that live there. Obviously, they obviously been threatening people that will come there or whatever. So there are a lot of houses that they had marked dangerous and told people just avoid. Just, we're trying to, and it's crazy, but it does happen because some people that you out, I'm going to get my gun and this and that. And so, now they have to have marked, they mark certain things, and if it's marked in red, it's dangerous. You're not supposed to, don't even go to that person's house, just keep right on going. So, therefore, that there may be 5 or 6 people that live in that house that we can't get on the census because...
Who deemed it dangerous? That's where I'm at. Roogle, let me see what Roogle, his mind is...
I'm exploding inside wanting to say
I know, go ahead.
The first thing, the issue is cultural competency and hiring people who actually live in those communities to do the census. If you do that, you'll get a better result because people will at least be able to identify with who those individuals are. Even if I don't know you and I tell you, well, hey, I live on Mistletoe, but I'm hired to do the census. You know what I mean? That at least give me a little bit of credibility.
Okay, for the listening audience, Mistletoe is just a random street in an area. Okay, go ahead.
Right. So that could give me some credibility. But the other thing is the census it's done every 10 years. So what happened 10 years ago versus what's happening now could be a completely different thing. I'm in a situation where I go in the neighborhoods. And when I'm in certain urban areas, first of all, some of those houses don't even exist anymore.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, that's one thing that you run into is that you could have a transient community, based on there being houses that were once there being condemned or knocked down. Then, not to mention, a lot of properties that we see are actually rentals. So we see a lot of movement from an individual. So you can't really say, based off of data that's 10 years old, what's the likelihood of those people even living in that house today? Especially if you go into an urban setting and there may not be a high level of ownership. I want to see. I need to do some data to see how much. What's the percentage of ownership? I wonder if you can do that, like a rental property versus.
You should be able to. We'll have to check on that by next week. We'll have all that information. Or you know how you do. You'll get it going. Well, Kanye actually spoke. Remember, he had his listening party at the Donda in Atlanta. Speaking of Atlanta, well, they said only 13 people were vaccinated at that event. Now, my thoughts on that was maybe they were already vaxxed. Other people were vaccinated. You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that only 13 were interested. But that's what they were talking about. That Donda where he had all those people in there, only 13 people got vaccinated.
Well, I think, too, who's doing the vaccination? You know what I'm saying? If this is some sign up there talking about I'm from, blah, blah, blah health, I'm about to shoot you with something. The legitimacy of the organization could come into question.
I know it would, because Nyk was talking about that before. It's like, you don't know. And, and you also have the people who feel as though that that some of the celebrities are, that were vaccinated publicly, that they were being vaccinated with normal saline. So that's running rapid. Don't take that as law. We just talking, you know what I mean? We're just talking, and that may not be true. So I don't want you guys to hear that, but that's what the word to the curb. Some of the peoples in the street, it's Joe T, shout out to you, the peeps, feel as though that it's probably normal saline. So you have a lot of things swirling around, but I do want to put this out here. Pfizer is FDA approved now.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to get that out there. There's a lot of people, and when I say a lot, there is a lot. Okay, let me take it down a few, because we're talking about the whole world. There's a few people that ask me which one is the best. I can't answer that for you. But I do know now that Pfizer is FDA approved. So you have Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, which is spelled, I think it's Jensen. And we just say Johnson & Johnson like the baby powder. But those three are out there, and you have to make the decision for yourself. Just as if you have children, you have to make that decision for yourself, because we do know that with vaccines, they all have side effects. Not even vaccines only. With medication, they all have side effects. You ever be asleep at night and you're just looking at television and it's like, if you have this, some class action stuff going on, and you're like, wait, I took that. You know what I mean? I don't want to sprout out a medication because it might be corrected, or it might be, it might not be valid. Have these class action lawsuits, so I'm going to be safe on this side. But you know how you look and you're like, oh, wait a minute. If you have the side effects might mean, you're like, well, wait, the disease seemed better than the side effects. You know what I mean? I might live with the disease versus all these side effects, And then the last one, they do just save this one for last. Death. Am I the only one that heard that? Go, Nyk.
I always hear it.
You hear that one? Look, that's the one that stick out, right? You be like, maybe I'll be all right with this cold. Let me get some hot soup, Too funny. Speaking of that, when you have those, I went to an amusement park, and now, before, I don't remember, maybe because I was younger, when you go to get on a ride, I didn't hear all of it, the medical conditions. Did they say that back then? Like when you was getting on the Jackrabbit? Huh?
It was on the sign.
It was on the sign.
Where you had to be this tall.
Yeah.
It lists stuff on the sign.
See, I missed.
You got heart conditions.
Listen.
Something else. What was the other one?
I don't even know, but I'm glad you paid attention.
Yeah, because I was always at that time, I had to read the song to see if I was tall enough. I had to be like...
Hey, look at him. Look, that's why you was reading the signs. Stretch it. I was not...
But she didn't care. She got on them rides anyway. I let you crazy. I ain't getting on there. She tried to drag me on it. My mom was a daredevil. She loved getting on the rides, but it just depends, because some people, they can't take it. My mom had 2 open heart surgeries and did all kinds.
But wait a minute. Okay, but wait. So y'all read the sign? Y'all saw the sign? Mm-hmm. See, the only sign I saw was that line, that little arm that be like sticking out. And it's, you know what I mean? To be like, are you taller than this? That's all I remember. Well, I went to this amusement park not long ago. And, well, I guess it was over years, pre-COVID. And they set it over the loudspeaker. So I guess a lot of people was missing the sign. But Nyk said her mother read the sign and she still was going. But they were like, if you have this, if you have that, if you have this. So me and my homegirl, we going up on this ride like, yeah. Listen, we stood in that line almost an hour and 15 minutes. And guess what? When we got up there, they hit ours. By the time they rattling off all this stuff. And then they go up to as soon as we get on the top, I'm about to get on. They were like, if you have diabetes, I said, I'm out. And I mean, listen, there was a group of us like just falling off, after they said your thing. And I don't know what, because, and
what did the diabetes got to do with the ride?
It could. It could have something like if we at the music park and your blood sugar can be really, really high. You don't know, boom, bam, i.e. diabetic coma, or your blood sugar can be really, really low. You start seizing and you're on a ride, they're not going to stop the ride. You know what I mean? Because that can happen, a diabetic seizure. So, but that's what my homegirl was like, what? I was like, I'm out. Like, we was right there. I was getting ready to get on. I was like, that's me. It was so funny because it was different people just dropping off. They didn't call me. Terrible. I was like, well, what we gonna do? Is this why old people used to sit on the bench and hold the bags and prizes? I couldn't figure that out for the life of me. All right, let's move on to Shikari Richardson. Shikari Richardson, I guess she was talking smack. Well, actually, yeah, they played the clip. We can't play the clip right now because I don't have an engineer to hook this up, and I don't want to screw up right now. They had she was talking smack about the Jamaicans and what she was going to do because remember her first chance to be in the Olympics, she smoked some weed. And she said her mother, that's what she chose to do. That was her decision, which we know was a bad decision, and we have to find another way to cope. Now, I'm done with that part of it. Anyway, they said she got smoked. She came in ninth. Mm-hmm. Roland Martin said that she got smoked like a Jamaican blunt. Now, Twitter was eating her up, and it was a lot of guys that was actually eating her up. Now, here's where I go. I think it's something when you have the same people that's rooting you on, like, yes, 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 soon as you fail, those are the ones that's kicking you while you're down. What's up with that?
Well, I think that the issue with her was it wasn't like she was just performing and performed badly. It was that there was a moral issue involved. She knew what her obligations were, and then you're making the assumption that these people were for her anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I will hope that they are. Maybe because I'm just for everybody. Just let's win.
I was talking to one of my...
I'm projecting my feelings on, I
have a good friend that's a track and field coach, and he thinks... I don't believe this. I think she'd have lost anyway.
Okay.
If she went to the Olympics. Just because if the Jamaican who won, that time that she won by was a whole second faster than Richardson's fastest time. I think she was at her fastest time was a 10.62, and the Jamaican, I believe she won at a 10.51.
Okay.
So it's a whole second.
But it's the Olympics. She made it. She ran. But yeah, people, y'all see. Look, track. People, they serious about track.
His thing was he feels like if she would have been in that environment, she would have been pushed a little harder to do it. But I'm like, but that other person would have been pushed a little harder too. I mean, we don't know. But I didn't even know that there was a race that had the unsanctioned race.
Yeah, I can't remember. You know what? And I know this is off kilter. I wonder if they have like one of the side effects of COVID is like memory loss.
My question would be: you said so there was an unsanctioned race for her?
Yeah, look that up. Only because I can't recall. I'm trying to get my recall back, and after I had COVID, I just feel like, okay, wait a minute, my head cloudy, almost like I got like a sinus type thing. You know how when you have a sinus infection, you can't recall things until it's cleared up as good as you would prior to. I'm wondering about that. I'm going to have to check on that. But yes, there was a race last week.
Who was it with?
I don't know. It was some Jamaican she got beat by. She came in ninth. However, she was like 10 seconds, 10.8 or something like that. So those women were, you can type in her name and look it up and see. Now, I was shocked to see men going against her. And when I say Twitter, Black Twitter ate her up. And she's a young girl. And they pretty much were saying she needed to be more humble. But are you really humble in sports? When you're playing sports, do you be like, before the game, oh yeah, I hope we win. Or are you, we're going to win. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Come on, sports guy.
I mean, but I think that's a part of it. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if you, like, okay, so I'm not going to make a question about her being humble or anything like that, right? Because I think sometimes the humble thing could be, well, if you got a guy that scores a touchdown, he may just hand the ball to the ref and then go to the sideline. And then somebody else be like, I have to do a dance and all this.
Right, but you know what happens? You know what happens with that person that does that? We peopling will say that he just passed, but like, oh yeah, he think he all that, and we take that as arrogance. So it's like, which way do you go? Be like, oh yeah, he knew he was gonna make that, so he just flung him the ball or just tossed the ball. You know what I mean? we project so much, and it's like, what do you do? But yes, I would be excited. So you're not able to show your excitement because why? You can go make the other person feel bad, the other team feel bad. And this is prior to. I thought that sports, it was the trash talking, like boxing. The trash talking. I want to see this. He said he's going to do that. You know what I mean? The trash talking. Like the school fights, but you're not allowed to do that no more. But back in the day, you'd be like, oh, snap. You know what I mean?
She got roasted. She ran an 11.14, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that's why she came in.
I want to see the race.
Listen, they put that meme of, you remember that 99-year-old, I think he was 99-year-old man was racing. He came in last, but he was an old man and he raced and everybody was excited. He was running. They put that as her. I said, you know what, y'all, the internet is a mess. But that's pretty much where they felt like she was talking a whole lot of trash. But I thought that was part of sports.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hope she rebounds from this. I don't know if I was her, if I would have been racing because she probably ain't been training.
Now, that's what I was wondering. And like, I never ran track. I used to sit and eat Jolly Rancher sticks, watermelon at the track meets and having a good time. However, I do remember, I know she probably like, what? I do remember being at a track meet at Cheney High School. And I like to see the hurdles and I like to see the baton. What's that, the relay with the baton? Is that what that is, Roogle? When you pass the baton, the relay? I like to see that. And I remember they had to run around the track like, what was it, 8 times this event prior to? What game is that one? Where you got to run around the whole track 8 times?
That's a 4x1. I mean, a 4x4.
Now, this one particular person, I won't say her name.
100-mile relay.
I remember leaning on the fence and she was running up and she was like lapped like 3 laps. I remember leaning like, oh my goodness, I done went back to the concession stand, came back. And I remember telling her, I said, I was like, will you hurry up? It was like, wait. Because I wanted to see the next event. She looked over at me and she said my name. She was like, Melly, you shut up and you get out here and run. Man, listen, I was laughing so hard. It was so funny. And I was like, will you hurry up? So after she was done, and you probably know the person, after she was done, I had a Gatorade for her because I went back over to the concession stand and gave it to her. And she was like, and you know you slowed me down. I said, well, she was like, you just leaning there talking. I said, will you hurry up? I was like, well, I was hoping it motivated you to go faster. You get upset. So that was that story. And she was like, you get out here. I ain't running at all. Not at all. But I'm thinking with Shikari, they shouldn't have did that to her. And I thought you do talk trash. I really thought that you talk trash. So I didn't think that she did anything wrong except, and I'll tell everybody this, never, when you lose, don't take the interview right after. Don't, when they're, you know what I mean? Just like I was about to say her name when she go tell me, because she was mad because I'm like, hurry up. Her response was anger. Now with Shikari, she got off the field and then she told pretty much, what did she say? I'm paraphrasing, lovely people. I did watch it though.
Basically, this is what she said.
Is this after the race?
Yeah, this is after
Go
the race
ahead.
because I'm watching it now. She said a whole lot of stuff.
A whole lot of ignorant stuff.
This is one race. I'm not done. Count me out if you want to. Talk all the shit you want to. You know what I can do.
The bail.
And that was like a little bit of it. Like she just kept on going.
Yes.
You know, or whatever.
You don't.
And, you know, she's like with all the stuff she's been through, blah, 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 blah. But she ended up coming in 9th place with the time of 11 seconds, 14 milliseconds, which many people weren't expecting. Between the, by the way, the Jamaican athletes ran the table against her first, second, and third. But the top person, she ran a 10.54.
Okay, so that was start with the 10. Okay.
Yeah.
But
I need to restate something.
Go ahead.
Earlier I said she would have lost by a whole second. She'd have lost by a whole 10th of a second, which is major though. That's a lot of time
in track.
Okay,
now her response after. Don't listen. Anytime you angry and lose, like I said, that's something you don't want to be the loser having an interview right after, because you're going to speak from emotion. Go back, go to the corner, take a little time out, and then after you do that, then speak. You know what I mean? I'm like, just people refrain from speaking or doing an interview immediately after the loss.
Like I just think her issue was that like she didn't have like she was trying so hard to defend the fact that she lost instead of just saying, hey, I'm just getting back into things, and I think this is an eye opener that I need to work a little harder, and been done with it.
Absolutely, But now in track, talk to me about this. Nyk, did you run track?
No, I did traveling in the shot put.
Oh, okay. Okay, so you know about track because that's all like the games, track and field. I don't know anybody, just watching, and I only watch the Olympics. I don't really be into it like that. Who get interviewed in 9th place? So I think that's a win.
Well, they interview her in 9th place because that's for example, when Mike Tyson lost, they didn't spend a whole lot of time talking to Buster Douglas. They were like, well, Mike, what happened? It's always the fall of the great one that you want to capture.
Listen, wait, I gotta find it. Roogle, find that clip, because I know you could play it for us. When he said, Mike, what happened? And he said, my back broke. Remember that one?
Oh,
that was Roogle, find that. My back broke. It's the Mike Tyson. And it's that one that you said. Yes, they said Mike would happen. Yeah, the fall of the great one. But 9th place, I think that's a win for her. Because they still talking about her.
No, it ain't.
9th though? Like the 9th, you're not the 2nd, the 3rd, the 9th. Like, you're sitting there waiting.
But hold on though. You gotta take in consideration, I think there were only 9 people racing. So
right. Exactly.
You could have came in 9th place.
I know.
You know what I mean?
Now you're building up my confidence. I could have been in the same spot as Shikari.
I want to see.
Put it that way.
Man.
I think it was only 9 people. It
was only 9. She came in last. Yeah.
So what you talking?
I'm talking about I could have ran that race and came in 9th too.
I know, but you acting like it's a big accomplishment to come in last.
Listen.
Some of us could have came in last.
Listen, it is a big accomplishment that they interviewed her coming in last.
They interviewed her because they thought she was going to win the Olympic gold. If she'd have been any other 9th place person who didn't have the potential to win the gold, then they would have never even interviewed her. You're right. They didn't interview the girl in 8th place. You know what I mean?
They would have interviewed the one in 8th?
8th or 7th. You know what I mean? They might have. Somebody from their hometown paper might have did it. But
man, and guess what? When people get so big, they don't even want to deal with the hometown media. What's that about?
Come on.
Come on now. What's that? Y'all know we've been doing this for some time now. Look, it's when we go out of town, everybody be like, hey! Not a local, but like, oh, they be like, oh, no. Right. Nah, I ain't go. Mel about to be, she be talking crazy. I'm not about to go on there. Go ahead.
Mike Tyson said, I broke my back. And the guy was like, what do you mean? Yeah, spinal, vertebrae? He's like,
spinal. Wait, do you have it? Do you have it so we can hear, the listening audience can hear?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull it back up.
But you're right.
It's really short.
He did say, he said, Mike, what happened? Yes, you're absolutely.
Spinal.
He like, man, that was the funniest thing. Let me know when you're ready, and I'm gonna be quiet.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Are you sharing my screen or something? I don't know.
Yeah, you.
Be able to hear the sound.
Go ahead. Whatever.
Okay, I'm doing it now.
Is it playing? What, you got earpods in? Because we can't hear nothing. No, that sounds like a phone. Did you play it?
Did you hear it?
Not at all. That's why I said, what, you got earpods in?
No, it's so much, like, if you're not sharing the screen, if I'm not sharing the screen with you, it probably don't come up.
Oh, man. Let me see. Like, that was, all right, we're going to find it. We're going to find it before it's over. We're going to find it for you. That is the funniest interview. Now, he wasn't rude with his interview, but there was an excuse. Just like she had an excuse. She's like, I'm going through a lot. Well, you shouldn't have ran.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, excuses are monuments of nothing. Just stack it on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I mean, she chose it. I just think, like, to me, it just reminded me of somebody I see get into a fight, but they lose, or they get whooped up pretty bad, so they get up and they start just talking all kind of trash. You know, you be like, hey, you know,
I ain't eat last night.
If anything, whatever she's going through, she should have used that as her motivator to win.
Well, the thing is, I mean, for me, though, I mean, I don't know. Like, if she's going through so much that it stopped her from training in a certain way, she probably shouldn't have ran. But if she did run, and just to be like, hey, I need to go out here and just get some competition in, the thing, it was just the stuff that she said afterwards. It was like, you know, you got completely dusted. You know what I mean? I mean, let's just put it out there.
You built up my self-esteem, Roogle. Talk about I could have came in ninth.
You could have. Hell, like any of us would have came in ninth. Hell, I would have came in ninth. Shit. You know, but the point I'm saying is that, like, it was just her response afterwards. Like that was the part I think people was like, well, she probably needed to be humble. You know what I mean? Because, you know, she got annihilated. You know?
All right, here we go for the listening audience, okay? I'm hoping I got it.
He said you need to stop bullshitting and be serious. You're not serious. That's why you out here playing around. He said the truth.
And he is right, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. I'm just happy to be back in Memphis and give a decent showing. I'm glad Brother Clifford gave me a fight. And people don't understand the business when you show your love and respect when you fight one another, because that's how we elevate our lifestyle. We take care of our fighters, our family. So we can't say, hey, I'm scared to fight anybody. And closely, we're both Muslim, we're brothers. We owe each other to fight each other, to elevate our life.
Mike, were you really sick this week? What was the problem?
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that? You broke
my back is broken.
What, a vertebrae or what portion?
Spinal.
You did that in sparring?
No, I did it
Okay. Did you hear it or was it muffled? Listen, he was like, I broke my back. My back is broke. Spinal. It was a blessing. He was still able to stand up and fight. What a...
That's what I'm saying. That's what we're doing now.
Listen, that right there got to be the most popular.
I think he was using it as a metaphor.
What?
I don't think he meant that his back was actually broken. I think he meant that...
He said spinal.
Spinal. He meant that he just... Yeah.
I don't recall Mike Tyson having a back injury, but, I mean, let's see.
Look, you go right ahead. While you do that, let's talk about the Muppet. Now, guess who's added on? Remember they had, we talked about the transgender on Sesame Street, the one they added. Now they have, they're saying, and I'm using air quotes for my lovely listeners. Now they're saying that Gonzo is the gay Muppet. Why does it matter?
It doesn't. It's the children. I put it alone. Wait till they get older. Come on now. Out of that.
Now,
go
ahead.
But how does Gonzo... I mean, Gonzo had the hots for Miss Piggy since forever.
See what I'm saying? See, that's what is somebody coming up with whatever they want to come up with and just causing havoc. Just like we had like with the Rugrats, the reboot, you know, what they're talking about with Phil and Leo's mom. Then you have the transgender off of Sesame Street. But why is everything so sexualized? why does it have to be? Why does it have to be a thing? These are children. These are children. Now there's a big thing actually going on with Lil Boosie. Boosie, they're coming down on him because he did an interview, and I want to say on the Breakfast Club. Don't quote me on it, but I believe it was the Breakfast Club. And he was saying, talking about Little Nas. Some people feel as though that he's bullying Little Nas because he's like, well, why can't I speak my truth if he could speak his truth? This is what he does, and I'm heterosexual. Okay, you can be gay, but why are we forcing this on little children? Well, lovely, the Puerto Rican princess, Jocelyn, actually spoke on it. And she said, Jocelyn is from Love and Hip Hop, the one with Stevie. Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And she was saying that she doesn't allow Bonnie, her daughter, to even watch television because it's like forced on children. Now, if you know Jocelyn, you know the history of Jocelyn. She's bisexual, but she feels... Yeah, but and her show, I can't even remember the name of it, is garbage. But it's, to me, degrading women. But that's, to each his own. There's a community out there. You know what I mean? There's an audience for her show. But she doesn't allow her child to watch it because she feels as though it should be a personal choice when she gets older. Now, Nyk, I want to tell us what the people from the street saying about Lil Boosie, how his thoughts are with, heterosexual people versus Lil Nas, because they feel as though that he's, they feel as though that he's bullying Lil Nas. Go ahead.
A lot of people that think, I don't know what they think about Boosie. A lot of people think Lil Nas is doing too much. I mean, yes, you are gay. Okay, so what? That's your business. You think your truth. But what the kids watch something, you're doing too much. You're displaying too much. No, parents should monitor what their children are watching. But just a simple fact, out of respect of children, we somehow have lost the respect for these babies. And then wonder why when they grow up, they got a smart mouth. Coming up now, even now, they got a smart mouth. They're funny, just doing their thing. Making it easier for these pedophiles to come because they...
You're breaking up really bad. I'm trying to catch you, though. You're breaking up. So, okay. You're breaking... Yeah, you're breaking up. Real bad. But you said... I think I caught some of it where you said that it makes it easier for these pedophiles to trap the children. Okay.
Right.
Now that's a valid point. That's a valid point. Allowing your children to be exposed to so much, because before it was, what are you exposing your child to? Roogle, you being in early education.
Formerly,
yeah. Okay, formerly known as Prince. No, yeah. But guess what? Formerly, you still are. You still are. Master, then we'll call you doctor after this fall. Roogle, tell us this, because, dealing in early education, when would you call the authorities in for younger children? Not you per se, but just overall. When is that stipulated? Like, where does that line go? Like, okay, check. Okay, now we need to call...
Like, if you see any signs of abuse or neglect.
Okay, so it's just abuse and neglect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's what I would do. I don't know, yeah. If I saw, and the thing would be this, too. When you say that sort of thing, let's say, for example, it's a winter day and the kid comes in with, no jacket or just a thicker sweatshirt or something like that. My first actions would be, somebody may say, well, that's abuse or that's neglect. They don't have a winter coat, right? Well, the issue would be, should we call the family and ask them, what's going on? You know what I mean? And then provide a coat, right? So everything that there's issues that you could solve that don't necessarily mean bringing in any authorities. But if you have a kid come come in there with a crazy looking wound, like their nose and eye socket broke, that's different. That's a clear sign that you're better off to alert the authorities and have them, be able to justify what actually happened versus like not addressing it at all. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think it's clear and cut when you're in those kind of jobs. You have the responsibility of reporting abuse and neglect from a first person perspective, not like, hey, I told the supervisor and they handled it, because they're not the person who witnessed it. You know what I mean? Witnessed it or saw the evidence of it.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will say to that, when you say they come in the winter with no cold, you do have certain people that will go overboard and just call the authorities on the parent of that child. I do remember one time someone of authority called and she said they don't have a coat, I was glad they called. And I said, wait a second. They may have come with a coat, but just like I know, back in the day, if you catch the bus and you playing around, you put your coat down on the ground waiting on the bus, so the parent will send the child with a coat, but the child gets to school and don't have a coat. This one parent said, how about you tell me where all the coats are? Because she doesn't come home with a coat and she's sent to school with a coat. How often have we seen where at the end of the school year, it's a whole box of coats in the lost and found? Have you seen that?
Yeah, the items,
Mm-hmm, yeah. So that happens. Also, now the way things are, I know they have to look at it differently. Everybody's wearing hoodies. People aren't wearing coats anymore. And that's the style. Like, what the heck? I'm freezing.
Well, I think again, it's what some people find acceptable. You know what I mean? Because I know myself, and this is probably a bad. Like, I might have a thicker coat in the car, but when I'm driving around, have on that hoodie or whatever, and then I end up going into the store because I'm relying on my transportation to work. You know
right,
what I mean?
true.
I mean, it's the same thing. Even when you think about babies in car seats, you get people to put so much stuff on babies, and they put them in a blazing hot car, and they're like in the car seat strapped down with a big ass snowsuit, blankets, and all that stuff. You a little baby boiling. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the car is hot, then if the car is warm, the car is warm. You know. Mm-hmm. So it
depends.
Yeah.
It depends. I do know, like, the way things are now and the authorities are constantly called, if you bring someone in with alleged abuse or marks and they say, okay, I need you, and you're a male, and I know you were in a predominantly female environment. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't want to...
The Head Start, every Head Start program I worked in, it was... maybe Cleveland was a little bit bigger.
Okay.
But outside of that, you can count the males who work directly in the program probably on one hand. Okay.
Now, if somebody said, they thought there was some type of abuse and they had to show you and they say, okay, I need you to pull your shirt up, you know what I mean, or whatever, to see where this abuse is at. As a male in that environment, what would be your suggestion for other men that work in predominantly female environments and you are faced with that situation where somebody's trying to show you abuse?
I think if any child is trying to show anybody something, they come in there like, oh, my back hurt really bad, look at it. I think at that point in time, you bring in another person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, like there's things you can see on somebody's arm and things like that. But when you talk about a child,
their thigh, and they have to pull it like their thigh or something.
That's a different call altogether. my best response to that would be, in that situation, you should definitely contact the supervisor. I don't think I'd be taking off. I know I would not. You know, I'd be like, okay, well, this is hurting you. Let me bring in a medical person, because usually there's a nurse or something on staff, and then they want to do some sort of evaluation, and that's fine. But I'm not telling a kid to take off their clothes.
Now I want to add to what you just said. Even being a nurse, you still have to have another person in there, especially when they are a minor. When they are a minor, when I say minor, I'm talking elementary age. But even the older ones, because you have older children that will make up stuff, and it's sad, but they'll make up stuff probably because they don't want to get in trouble. But we always have somebody in there. I call people in because I don't want any parts in. I know little children can't really explain things well enough. And can you imagine going home talking about, oh yeah, I went to the nurse and she pulled my pants down. Huh? Looking for that, looking for, alleged, and I'm using air quotes again to the listening audience, looking for marks or bruises.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, because one thing, I mean, you could, let's say you reached out to the parent or whatever, and you're like, hey, the child's coming here and they have this severe pain. Because this is the thing, usually, like, I mean, I can't say usually, right, but let me put it like this. If your child sustains a bad injury, more than likely you're not going to send them to school the next day, right?
True.
I mean, even if, I remember once, and this happened in school, my son broke his arm in school. And, the next day I didn't send him to school or whatever. Granted, like, because of this action that happened in the school, his arm had probably been broke for like, it was like it wasn't even, okay. He complained about the pain. My mother was like, hey, she got him from school. She's like, something ain't right with him. So I took him to the doctor. He had to get a cast. But he wasn't able to get the cast until the next day because he had to go to like whoever, Men's Bones or whatever to do it. He didn't get the cast in the emergency room. So it took like a day for him to get the cast. But even after he got it, I had to stay home because I didn't know what the pain level would be and all that other stuff, And it just kind of seems like sometimes you get kids who are in that situation who are potentially abused where, where you're like, why would, I don't even know how to explain it, but you find out because they come to school with the room,
Right.
So it's, God, I just wish it wouldn't happen.
True.
That's what I'm saying on that.
Yeah, that's a good thing. And yeah, you pray that it doesn't happen, but everything is so, we talked about the cancel culture, but even with where you can't even parent, honestly. And it's like, okay, the parents need to be involved. But then do you really want the parent involved? Because if the parent gets involved and respond differently from what you expect them to respond, then you're calling and the parent's in trouble. And it's like, oh, wait a second. Do you really want the help? That's where I'm at. I'm not speaking to you. I'm just speaking in general to the listening audience. And if you want in on this conversation, feel free to text or call 619-902-2287, 619-902-2287, and join us. What do we do? Because everything is so accepted now that the norm, air quotes, is not. Go ahead, Nyk. What you got, Nyk? I see your wheels turning.
That's just crazy because, like you said, the norm is no longer accepted.
Okay.
How did we get to that? I mean, how did we get to that, and how can we get back to normal? That's all I want. How can we get back to normal?
I'm kind of at a loss for what we were talking about, but yeah. So I'm not.
You're at a loss because you're doing something different.
No, I'm just. I mean, I thought
we're accepting.
Neglect, but
yeah, we moved on from that. Now we're on to when everything is so accepted that we're accepting everything, but we're not accepting the old things. We're accepting the new. That's what's we're accepting the new and negating the old. So you'll have situations occur, or just like with Lil Boosie, the same thing is like, okay, this is it. Okay, well now gays and the LGBTQ community want to be accepted, but now it's almost like people aren't accepting. If you don't believe what other people believe, they're not accepting you. So you have now, and this is just an example, and it seems to be accurate, you're not accepting the heterosexuals. And it's like, which way do we go? You know, it's like, I want to be me, but you want me to accept you for who you are, and not just with the LGBTQ community. With everything, you want me to accept you, but you're not accepting me. Go ahead, Nick, you still break it up or no? You're good.
Can you hear me clear? Am I still breaking up?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm still like I'm still at a loss. I still want to know, like, what can we do to bring this back? Because and I mean, we're getting condemned for talking about certain things, but it's okay for this person to talk about their truth. But when you go to talk about yours, I'm confused with everything now. Like, seriously, I don't know what's acceptable to say or what and do and what it's not anymore. Truthfully, I mean, really, I don't want to offend anybody, but then the other person's actions may be offensive to you. But as soon as you call them out, that's where society wants to jump on you, wants to cancel and everything else. So, like, just the whole thing, damn if you do, you're damned if you don't, really, anymore. I'm confused by a lot of stuff anymore. It's better off not saying that at all. Just hide the head, but keep on moving at this point, because you don't know what you can say, what you can do. It's acceptable for this person, but as soon as you reject that, then So, hi,
you said yeah, so.
You got to figure out. No, I'm going to open y'all keep on talking.
We say you ain't got nothing to say. You ain't got it. All right, intimacy during this era of COVID. Now, we know that intimacy boosts the immune system. How do you feel now with intimacy, and not just with your loved one or your spouse, but like with different people? The whole, like family members. So I guess that's a loved one, but I'm saying, your spouse. How do you feel about that? Roogle?
I mean, as far as like giving hugs or, kiss on the cheek, greeting your family like normal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I still try to give my family members hugs, but then, there are some that'll be like, no, my godbrother, I saw him in class last week, and I went to go give him a hug. He was like, no, but then he explained to me, because where his wife works, she works with clients, and one client she has COVID.
So he was considering you.
Yes.
That's really nice. That's really nice.
So, yeah. But I do have some members that say, like, I don't know where you been, you might have COVID. How you doing? Yeah, okay.
What's your thoughts on that, Roogle?
I'm not really particularly a huggy person anyway.
Okay.
So there was really no change. Like, hey, how you doing? that kind of thing. Ever.
You're like, I'm here. Look, I'm here.
Yeah, it was funny. I went to an event though, where they made sure everybody was masked.
Okay.
During the event. but there were some older members of the community that I knew who were still hugs and kisses on the cheek kind of people. You know, and I'm like, well, they're like, oh, come on in here. I'm like, they're like, okay, we don't want you not hug them, you know, not give them the cheek, you know, which, you know, I guess they might have been like, you know, I don't know what their perspective is on it or whatever like that, but, you know, I didn't feel, in those situations, I didn't feel like I was the one at risk, you know what I mean? I felt I was like more concerned about them, but, you know, I'm like, man, but I don't know. I just think, like, it just makes good sense until we over this hump to just kind of just limit that kind of stuff.
Yeah, how do you tell an elderly person, don't hug me?
Right, you really can't. That's disrespectful.
Yeah. Right. But I assume that person would probably had the vaccine. I know I had it, so, you know, but no, it wasn't like any of the people who were like with this one lady's situation, like her son was there. It wasn't like anybody was like, hey, no, don't, you know, correcting her. Because when I said hello to her, I was a good 6 feet away. You know what I mean? And she said, you know, gave me the hand gesture and all that stuff. So.
How long do you think it's gonna? Do you think this is our new normal, or how long do you think this is gonna last?
Well, I think it's our new version of the flu. You know, I think that we all have to start, you know, taking precautions and things like that. You know, I mean, there's no true, unless there's a level of someone being able to build up an immunity. I mean, there's no, you know. I think it gradually becomes a way of life until we're able to figure out ways to overcome the symptoms in an effective, inexpensive way. You know, for example, if I get the flu, I stay home for a few days and, you know, drink some soup or whatever y'all was saying earlier. But, you know, this situation is just, it's the cost. For example, I think it was United Airlines. They told people, if you don't want to get vaccinated, that's fine, but you got to pay $200 more a month for your insurance.
For United Airlines, what do you mean?
I believe it was
the workers, the employees.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a one-time insurance thing, isn't it? Like, you know, your flight. You're talking about the employees.
Like, hey, you cannot get vaccinated, but you got to pay $200 more for your insurance. Because it was like the cost from a hospitalization for it is $50,000 on average. So
okay.
Like, if you want to absorb that cost, then that's fine. But we're not going to.
Don't you think that? Well, I'm not going to say don't because I don't want to project my thoughts on anybody. Okay. That's like a threat. An indirect threat.
It is. How is it a threat?
Just like it is, like if you have workers in, like they had with President Biden saying that it was supposed to be August the 30th, but they pushed it back to October 15th for the first vaccination and November for the second vaccination. As far as if you work in a nursing home, you have to have the vaccine. And that's saying that you have to have the vaccine or you have to pay $200 more a month. But are you even making that amount to even afford it? That's where I'm going. You know, and we're just talking because neither one of us work there, but or none of us work there. So,
but I don't see how that's a threat because the threat would be if you don't get the vaccination, you can't work here.
That's it in a nutshell. That's what you're saying.
But they're giving you an option to pay for a higher insurance rate.
Okay, let's talk about the nursing homes. Right. Yeah. Now, let's talk about the nursing homes where, to me, I feel like it's a threat. When you say, okay, if your employees aren't vaccinated, then we're not going to pay you Medicaid and Medicare. You know, not going to pay those bills of people that rely on that. And we know, just being people, that most of those facilities, they 100% rely on Medicare, Medicaid, government funding to function, because your self-pays, what's the chances of that? Or you just sending them a bill if they decide not to pay because they can't afford, those rates. So it's like, okay, you got Medicare, the facilities are going to plummet if they don't receive Medicare or Medicaid. And I'm speaking on nursing homes. So saying that, to me, that's just like threatening the owners of nursing facilities.
So look, okay. So let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
And this is just a question. I'm trying to think. Let's say, for example, you work in a nursing home or medical institution. You got to get tested for TB, right?
Yes.
What if a person refuses to get tested for TB?
They can. You can get a chest X-ray.
But what if they refuse to test for it? Whatever they refuse to have. Should they have the opportunity to work?
If they don't have any symptoms, yes.
But not having a symptom is not qualify as proof of not having it.
True, because there's that small percentage where you may not have a cough and you may not be coughing up blood and you may not have been around anybody or out of the country, that tested positive for TB. So yes, you do have that. Go ahead.
I guess outside of that, is there any other thing? For example, Hepatitis B.
Yes.
I know you don't necessarily. I know before you didn't necessarily have to have it.
You don't.
But I know at one time, because when I was working in early childhood, they had given us the option at that.
They still do.
Was that they still give you?
They still give you the option.
Yeah, I took it.
I did too. I took that.
Yeah,
And then you get it one time, and then it's over after your 3 shots.
Yeah.
The first shot, then 30 days after the second shot, and then
90 days.
And then 90 days is the third one after the first shot. And the series, and then you're like done forever.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? That's different. But let's look at, okay, you said TB. How about fast food? We all worked at fast food restaurants before, right?
Yeah.
Okay, did you, Nyk? All right. Did you have to have the TB shot then?
I can't remember.
Exactly. How many people coughing over the burgers and fryer? We don't know. But it's not mandatory.
I also think, though, too, you looking at the people, and they're like every restaurant I've been in, everybody's been masked.
Now, but I'm thinking, even before, you hope they are back in the kitchen.
But before it wasn't an issue. Now it's an issue, though. You know what I mean? Now it's the issue.
Okay.
I don't know. I just kind of feel like, I understand what you're saying. Should those medical facilities be forced their employees to have the shot because of their funding? And the other option is that, like, and you hate to say this, but people do have an option. And I hate to say it in this format because it's like, well, you're taking away my option to be able to have the job I want if you don't allow me to work in that environment because of XYZ.
Now, okay, maybe I used the wrong term. How about you're making a decision under duress?
Because right now the country is under duress because they don't know how to get rid of it. So they were making rash decisions because...
And you're just doing it, and you're like, okay, I have to pay my bills. But people can go to court. You prior to this, you can go to court and be like, oh, okay, well, they signed this or they did this under duress. That was against their will, but it's like, how do I survive if I don't? And then you have the issue of there's not enough employees anyway. Where are the workers? Because I see that constantly. There's no staff. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this thing.
Go ahead.
If I'm a patient in one of these facilities, do I have the right to only be serviced by people who have gotten a vaccination?
Yeah, you have that right. And
so,
go ahead.
So if I have that right to say, hey, have you been vaccinated, or are you taking all the universal precautions in order, to provide care to me?
That's different because the vaccine is not universal precautions.
Yeah. I'm using it as a separate incident.
Okay.
So I'm just saying, like, well, if those people who haven't been vaccinated have to be fully down the whole time, switch out gloves, renew masks.
That's what we do.
All that kind of stuff. I mean, maybe that solves the problem. You know what I mean? But I just think, like, are we looking at care from the caregiver's perspective or the person that's receiving care? And what's in their best interest?
Now, see, I feel as though that we're not. And these are just my thoughts and not the views of the co-hosts on Shop Talk with Mel. I don't think that this is mine. I don't think that we are, I don't think that this decision to be vaccinated is on the best interest of their thought process behind it. But and I hate to think for other people, but I don't think it's for the best interest of the patient. Now, I know this might sound like an oxymoron. I think it's for the best interest of the country. And I'll say that. I'll say that because you want to stop it. But if you're going to have where every employee needs to be vaccinated, then every visitor needs to show proof of vaccination as well. That's coming to visit these people from the outside. But I don't see that happening. I just don't. Remember before they were standing outside and it was sad. And if you want to come in, okay, you be vaccinated as well. And then you have some facilities that feel as though if people are like, oh, I can't get it. They're like, oh, well, it's a lot of people immunocompromised. Yeah, there's a lot of people that I know that died after getting the vaccination. They were immunocompromised. And theirs, to me, I feel as though was, they agreed to it under duress. Like, okay, well, maybe I should. And
earlier, beginning of the show when I talked to them, they're on their way to the funeral over in Guadalajara. The person, the funeral they're going to, they were shut down after they took the second vaccination, and now a week later they're going to this funeral.
Yeah, and it happens depending on, like, if you're a healthy body, go for it. But to feel bullied, like I said prior to feel bullied into taking this, and then people saying, well, I got it, you got it. No, you jump off a bridge. I'm not jumping off a bridge. You smoke, I don't. You know what I mean? I think it's freedom of choice. And now our choices are being removed. And
so freedom of choice. I mean, freedom of choice, just like freedom of speech, it doesn't mean like your choice. I mean, if someone's telling you that, hey, this is what we want from you in order to work at this job, and you do not agree to those terms, don't work at that job.
Right. Now, if you were at that job and it's like, don't work at that job, so it's under duress. It's like, okay, well, I don't have a job. But I get your point. I love it. Go ahead.
I see people quit jobs all the time because something changes at the job, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm done."
But they don't agree with it, right?
I mean, no, the thing I'm saying, I do understand the issue about people being forced out of their career pathway. I understand that, and I'm sensitive to that, right? I just kind of feel that there should be, if there is a good alternative or a universal practice that should be in play, and let's not even talk about the vaccination. If it's just me being fully down that whole time, wearing gloves and whatever I got to do, then the facility should be able to provide that. The question I always come away from, because like I remember I happened to be in the hospital in June of 2000, late May, early June of 2020. All this was going on.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for 6 days,
mm-hmm.
and I wore my mask non-stop, and to where the person was like, well, hey, this is kind of like your room, you don't really got to wear the mask. I'm like, oh yeah, I do, because I don't know who's going to pop up in here, because what happens when you're in the hospital? You sleep, somebody tapping you, want to take the blood, want to run this test, want to do all that kind of stuff, you know what I mean? And then I had some people at the time, like all the nurses took the precautions. But there were some people in other positions that walked in without it. It was like, hey, I thought, hey, what's going on? You know, they thought, oh, okay, hold on for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, they weren't taking it seriously. I was like, I didn't come up, at that time.
I didn't come for this to catch that, right?
Yeah, I didn't come up, I don't want to come out of here with this, because this is the most, at the time, going into a hospital was like,
yes.
like you were trying to cross lines back in the, going to another country in the 1940s or something. Where's your papers?
Right.
That kind of stuff.
You are right. And let me say this, in the hospital pre-COVID, the hospital was known for nosocomial infections that were passed from one person. You'd be like, what? How many times have you known somebody being in the hospital and leaving out with staph? You're like, wait a minute. So I'm with you 110% on that. And a lot of people don't take it serious. So good for you wearing your mask the whole time, because you're right. You be sleeping. You be like, wait a minute, hold on.
Yeah, like and at that time it was so much not known about it. You know what I mean? I was like, I gotta be here. They like, obviously I gotta be here because they wasn't gonna keep me, and they damn sure wasn't gonna keep me for 6 days if I didn't need to be there.
Right.
So it was like, I gotta, I had to do what I had to do or whatever. But yeah, it was. I was worried about being in that environment, because that person, and not knowing what the protocols were, they were separating people on floors and stuff like that. But the whole idea is everybody on this floor is sick,
right?
And you have more than just me,
right?
And we're going to multiple rooms. I don't know what those other people have. They didn't test me when I came in there. They didn't test. I don't even think it was a test available at the time.
At that time, right?
You know what I'm saying? They didn't. They was just like, well, you don't have the fever. You're not this. Blah blah blah. This
the
and
symptoms.
That. They're doing an assessment. So I mean, hell, they didn't know. They didn't know I had it.
Absolutely. And interesting enough, as time goes on, it's more symptoms to it. Because remember, the taste and smell was like one of the last ones. That's why I was wondering if memory was one. I didn't see it yet. Because I'm like, this is interesting. And I trace it back to like, I was good and I was quick. Like, boom. I'm like, how long is this going to take before it comes back? So we still don't know, but you do want to use universal precautions. And speaking of that, fast food restaurants they're paying $15. Remember we talked about that?
And they should have been paying it.
Now, here's my thing. This is my experience. I went to Rallies, and I can say it because it was my experience. Rallies, and it was on Belmont, because I know that it's franchised. Youngstown, Ohio, yes. And when I went there, the girl had gloves on. Now, I always keep hand sanitizer in my left, that little pocket door. And she did my, the cash exchange. Not a problem. She got gloves on. I get it, because you're touching all these, everybody else's money, and don't nobody know if they wiping their butt or whatever. I totally get that. And she gave me my receipt with these gloves. And then she turned around and commenced to making the ice cream cone with those same gloves. Digging in the bag. I said, I don't want that. I said, can you change your gloves? That's all I asked. She had an attitude. Well, I really don't want you making enough of me with the attitude. She didn't see anything, and this is where I was at. She didn't see anything wrong with passing money and changing the gloves to make the ice cream cone. You got to touch that. So if you, and my thoughts are, if you wear gloves because you don't want to touch us and our dirty money, why do I want to eat everybody's dirty hands and dirty money? So she snatches the gloves off. She's like, what? I was like, where's your manager? First I was like, you know what? Just give me my money back. I'm okay. And I was, I'm calm. I'm not going all around in the circles. And she said, I can't give you your money back. Well, that particular rally says no cash refund. Will correct the order. Okay. So I said, well, let me see the manager. So I told the manager, I said, I asked her to change her gloves. She has an attitude. And I said, because she is collecting money with those same gloves. And mind you, these gloves were blue. And they were yellow at the tips. Now, I'm a nurse. So I know the gloves. And I'm really going to be clean even pre-COVID. And remember before they were saying with COVID, it was contact. Remember that? Remember I said ain't no way it's be airborne. I had my thoughts on that. So if it's contact, you touching everybody's money, like, oh, get out of here. And so the manager, kudos to the manager because she resolved the issue and she put the gloves on and made the ice cream cone. Hopefully she in-serviced the young lady. But I had an issue because she had an attitude because of my request. And when I went to the comments, because I posted this, somebody said, well, yeah, they deserve the $15. I'm like, do you deserve it with an attitude? You have to be a people person.
I mean, but the thing is that customer service, regardless of how, like, there's people, like a doctor gives you customer service. They may get $200,000 a year.
And some have bad bedside manners. Go ahead.
You know what I mean? The people, if you're working directly with people and you have a bad attitude about what you're doing, then don't do the work. That's as simply
that's the
but
way I feel.
You know, but as far as like one bad actor, that doesn't mean that the other people that's doing that job don't deserve that money. I ordered a pizza last night, which I should not have done. But the place I went to, they had a sign talking about, you know, don't get upset at our staff because we're low staff because no one wants to work anymore.
Now that's whack to me, and let me tell you why.
Pizza ready 15 minutes early.
But so you had a good experience. But see, how can you, if you're going to give me half of customer service or half of the service that you're supposed to give me, let me give you half of the money.
Well, I think in their response, they're like, hey, you know, we may be a little bit delayed. You know,
okay.
But the thing was, it was like, it's a place where, you know, if I call a pizza place and they tell, like, for example, I called at like 9:20 and they said it'll be ready at 10:15.
Okay.
I got there at like 9:55 and the pizza was ready at 10:05.
Okay, and that's good. That's a good experience because you're telling the person. But even like with, even in any field that you work in, there is no way that the customer should know that you're short-staffed because I feel like that. Let me tell you why. If the customer knows that you're short-staffed, why are you expecting full staff money? Exactly. Give me half price.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Give me half price.
I don't know if I I think like we're not talking about people fixing a roof here. We're talking about people.
We're talking customer
pizza together.
Well, okay, yours is pizza.
Cheeseburgers.
Yours is pizza.
Yeah.
It's to me, it's the customer service. How about if you got a bad attitude today, don't come. And even
yeah, you're right. If I'm a customer, or you talking about if you're the store, if you're the employee, don't come to work.
Don't come if you got a bad attitude because we don't deserve that.
I just think the thing is, you can be dealing with something. Everybody can deal with something, but not. You don't have to outwardly express it to everyone. Have self-control over the issues that bother you. That are bringing you pain. You don't have to have. Just because you got something bad going on in your life doesn't mean that you have to outwardly be shitty to everyone else.
Right.
Don't bring it to work. Don't bring it to work. You know what I'm saying? But if a person is just mad about a simple request, you know what I mean? I mean, it's just like my thoughts is like, what do I care? As long as there's gloves available for me to do it, you know. But I think like this though, in my head, just knowing the transaction in your case with the ice cream, like paying for your money, then doing then handling food, especially like ice cream, which you are a bold person to even buy ice cream. But you know, I think you could have just went and got you a pint of something. However,
comma, right?
You know, however. I think if it was me, I would have automatically switched gloves anyway, just because I went from one function to another. And that's what you were asking for.
That's what I was asking for. And I've looked at it as a teachable moment because I said she probably doesn't know. I didn't say it rude or anything, but the backlash was rude. And I was like...
Well, no matter how you say it, you told her to do something she wasn't doing.
Well, guess what? She snatched the ball. But I don't look, if you are not going to make my ice cream cone with love, I don't want it.
Yeah, or hater ice cream.
Yeah, like I want to be having that right. Get out of here.
But, you know, I just, yeah. I can see like if it was a cup maybe like
on the outside, something I'm not going to be eating.
Ice cream cone, that's kind of personal.
It's extremely
intimate. That's an intimate thing.
And I don't share ice cream intimately either.
Yeah.
I don't care who I'm married. Ice cream is off limits.
Nyk looks like the type of person that share ice cream cone.
Nyk, you share ice cream cone with your husband?
I share ice cream. Don't put your lips on my cup of my straw. Don't drink my straw. We kiss him, but that's fine. And I
thought that would get a rise out of
it. You know I did. You knew it was. You knew that it.
Because I often think about, remember like back in the day they would show like pictures with people sharing a milkshake or sundae or whatever.
Yeah.
I was always like, I never understood that two straw effect. I was like, you can't let the girl back down in that straw.
Yeah, like no, I ain't doing that. Get out of here.
You ain't just no, don't.
Like
Listen, I like this. I like to grab it. If I a bottle and drinking something and drink on my I'll take the straw. Here, this happened.
What about beer? It got bubbles in it. What about beer? Do you share beer? You know, remember how you used to have the brown paper bag and pass it? You remember the pack of 40 and it got bubbles in the bottom?
I cannot lie. In a former life, I may have shared a beer or something like that. But you know, I think that comes out of necessity versus like, you know, then I don't know, folks. Now you think about it.
Gosh, that's all I'm thinking.
Right.
I share nothing.
Right. Now they have it where they're saying that there's no staff to work anywhere. They can't get the staff in certain facilities or places. Why do you think that is, Nyk?
Because they're at home collecting that PUA still.
Okay. Go ahead, Roogle. Why do you think?
Sitting on their back, not working the day you going to work. Case in point, while a lot of these places start to raise their wage, their hiring, but you should have been doing that before COVID.
Okay.
Well, I think the thing is, because the thing is, they could. I think before. Okay, I think two things. I think people have transitioned on to different jobs. I think people understand their worth. I think people may be looking at getting retooled in a different way. I think people may have started their own businesses. But but I ultimately think that if you pay a higher wage, you command a higher performance.
That's my point. So
if you want to pay $18 an hour at the place, there's stakes there for example, if I don't show up, I lose my job that's paying me this amount of money that in this area you would have to have a bachelor's degree or probably higher to even get, right?
Right.
So let's even say that even for a $15 an hour fast food worker, the issue is that there's a higher level of demand. So some of those people who would have been employed there before may not live up to the standard of being able to receive that money because they didn't have the work ethic. Now, I'm not just picking on those people. I'm just saying, like, if you have a transient market. So they were basically like, hey, like, we'll hire a high schooler or something like that or whatever. And they'll work a few days a week, while they're in school, and then they'll leave when they leave and that kind of stuff. But now, and I say this because one of my fast food experiences, and I think it taught me a lot about work ethic. I worked at a truck stop, Arby's, and everyone on the shift that I worked with was older than I was. Like, there were some old people there. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And it was like, they looked at it like, hey, they looked at it as if they were making cars. They were building airplanes. They had an attention to detail that made that place run well. Where I learned a lot about people who take pride in the opportunities that they have, mm-hmm. versus being pissed off that they're working the job. You know what I mean? I don't know to my own horn here, but You know what got me that job?
What got you that job? Nepotism.
No, not nepotism. What got me that job was that I went to because I had a kid. I was trying to find a job and could not find anything. Not in college or anything like that. I can't find a job, So I went to that interview like I went to any other interview. I had on my suit and the vest and the tie.
Good.
And the lady was like, that got me hired off top because she knew what I was about.
You took pride.
She knew what I was coming for.
How you dress is how you'll be addressed.
She knew what was up, So I would think, like, even if I had that same opportunity, like for example, the job I do now, I had an internal interview. And I was like, well, hey, should I dress a certain way or can I? Because I was like, I got to go to work after this. Do I have to check? This come in which you would regularly just wear to work, Okay.
Okay.
Okay. But the thing was, I asked that question, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we'll have people that they'll interview that comes in off the street. And they literally say, I don't own a collared shirt.
Oh, and you know what? I can respect that person.
I don't know.
I can respect that person. Let me tell you why. Because they said it. So what I would do.
They didn't say it. They showed up without a shirt. They came in there with a printed tee to interview for the job.
It wasn't just like an all black T-shirt or nothing.
I don't think so. I know when I saw the person, they had a Captain America shirt on.
Oh, they come to save the world. Yeah, see, that's when you don't give that person that job. And I understand hurting, I do, but like this is why, because remember the point system? When we would hire people, we had a point system. And when you went through each step, and it's like, what about this? Now, you said that when you worked at Arby's, it was a lot of older people there, so you learned a lot of work ethic. I'm going to share this example. I'm not going to say the name, and I will not disclose the place. But I had a young lady that came in, no lie, clocked in, and had the nerve to say to me, and I'm pretty easy, had the nerve to say to me, she needed to do something, and she said, I just left the nail salon. My nails are wet. I said, well, clock back out. How do you think it's okay to come to work and tell me that your nail, or anybody, that your nails are still wet so you can't do the job, but you could get paid? No, clock out. If you have a bad day, I am the stickler. I will come and be like, oh, you should have called off today. When I see somebody coming in with a bad attitude, we don't need that energy. You don't need that energy at the workplace, because guess what? It overflows to the patient or whoever you're caring for, or even like your basic Dunkin' Donuts, and they're paying to. I saw an article where it was 19.
They should be.
Listen,
they should be paying that much.
Yeah, and listen, I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that.
A cup of dirty water.
You still talking about my iced coffee, but listen,
all the water dirty.
All of it. But here's the thing, with Dunkin' Donuts, I have yet to have a bad experience with Dunkin' Donuts. When Nyk eyed me, because I be getting my low caramel iced coffee, leave myself alone. It's funny because now I look and be like, ooh, dirty dishwater, ooh, like it's embedded in my head. But I can ruin that. Yes, you can. But like Nyk was saying, that's why a lot of places they're charging more. I don't mind paying more for customer service. There's a lot of places that may not have a great product, but the product might be okay. And I don't mind paying because I'm paying for the customer service. Even like clothing stores. I have tipped people just because they have had a job there and they were nice. Here, have a good day. No, and I don't have it like that, but here, let me bless you. That's my thing. I pay for customer service. And if you are whack, I'm done. Like Rally's down there, I'm done. Even though the manager came through, she did her job. And I have to write my letter on Monday for that particular store. That manager was good. It was a teachable moment, as you say, Roogle. Teachable moments. Let's not phone. But the staff must be receptive. If you're not receptive, then what can we do with somebody that's not that has their ears plugged up. I'm trying to find solutions. Y'all already know I'm not going to give you a problem without a solution. I want solutions. How do we do this? I'm with you. Not hire to do with the non-collar shirt. Go to your uncle. Go to somebody in the family got a collared shirt.
Well, the thing about it was, like, I don't know if anyone has any, like when I said that story, I hope they don't think, like, because I didn't mention the person's race or anything like that. But they were not African American.
I knew that.
You know what I mean? So, but it was like the whole thing was that I just kind of felt like, obviously it was something else they brought to the table or whatever like that. Now, but it was just the whole idea that they felt that was an appropriate way to go to an interview. But you job searching,
right?
Like, it ain't like you getting a surprise like, oh, you want me to come to you. I didn't even know. You know what I mean? It wasn't like it was like, hey, I'm out doing something else. Let me come. This is planned. This is a planned event.
This is an appointment.
Yeah, because a polo only costs like $5. Let's not get that twisted.
And if they don't have a polo, somebody you can borrow it from. Now, here's my thing. How I would have handled that, and I would have saw them. I would say, you might want to wear I don't want to tell you what to do, but you might want to wear a collared shirt, and we're going to reschedule this interview. I would have gave them an opportunity, because sometimes people don't know. And, people, they just doing what they doing now, and it's like, okay. And that's what we have to stop.
They get the job. It doesn't even matter.
Right. So you know what that means? If you start off the job mediocre, you're going to give me a mediocre work performance.
Like, part of it was that, like, even dealing with my son, like, I had to break his neck to have him buy a suit. And it's just like these younger generations, they don't feel the need for the formality isn't there anymore. It's like, take me for who I am.
Not in my facility. It's okay to be you, depending on the situation, because that's my slogan all day long. But if you are off the chain, be you at home.
Right.
Be this character here. Come, how you dress is how you'll be addressed. Depending on the situation. If you're working at a gym or something like that, boom, do your thing. But go ahead.
See, the only reason I brought it up was because of the difference. Like, I wore a 3-piece suit to a fast food interview.
And guess what? I can appreciate that. Because guess what? That says you mean a lot. That says you require a lot as well, which is fine by me. It's like, okay, so you started here, so good. But if you start here, I can't expect anything. It's just like a relationship. If you start this way, I can't expect anything else. If you start this way, you have to maintain. If you start down here, I ain't dealing with you anyway. Because, it should be, you know what I mean? This first impression. Go ahead.
Appointment when those two people, when they go to the doctor's appointment, would get dressed. And my grandma was one of them. She would get dressed for her appointments like she was going to church.
Yes.
You go to the doctor. That don't matter. I gotta go pay bills. Because your appearance is everything. The people don't realize that now. And they out here in pajamas and bonnets and stuff. Your appearance is everything. That tells the person some of what they need to know about you.
Right. It does. It does. And it's how people receive you as well.
Exactly.
It's how they receive you. And it's just like, what we gonna do? It's just wild. It's wild that you have to be that way. It's just a sad thing to me. But because it seems as if they don't care about themselves. Is something going on. It's like, what is it? All right, Nick. Who is today's small business spotlight?
Today's small business spotlight is Miss Queen herself, Queen of Yoni Detox.
Queen of Yoni Detox?
Yes.
Okay.
Products for the yoni. She's starting her men's line too. We have, she makes everything is all natural soaps, She has body washes now, body butters. There's little, she calls yoni tops, to keep the yoni clean and healthy. Teas that you drink, and that helps with this. So everything she does is all natural, and it has some type of properties that help, what's going on with you in bed. She's making soaps for men now too. And listen,
where's she? How do we get in contact with her?
Okay, she's out of Birmingham, Alabama, but her email is queensofyonidetox@gmail.com. She has a Facebook page, Queens of Yoni Detox. You can also go to her website, and she just obtained her website now to order products, Queens of Yoni Detox.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute, because you're breaking up so bad. So is it Queen of Yoni? Is it?
Yoni.
Is it
YONI?
YONI Detox?
.com. And then, her email was queensofyonidetox@gmail.com.
Okay.
Her Facebook, Queens of Yoni Detox. You can find her on there. Mm-hmm. And her contact information, 205-506-1149. That's how you get in contact with her. You need to call her.
Okay, one more time. 205
506
506.
Oh, yeah. I'm breaking that.
Yes, but
1149.
1149. So 205 506 1149.
1149.
All right. Thank you, Queen of Yoni. So queenofyonidetox.com. Y'all check out her website so you can really see what she has going on. Roogle, what's happening in the movie world?
Wow, well, we did have a release of some movies I wanted to see, but did not make it to the box office. First, I'd like to talk about is Candyman. It has been reviewed by Rotten Tomatoes, and it is 85% fresh, with the audience liking it at a 74%. So it looks like it's good to go. I didn't get a chance to watch it, and I will watch it, but I have not had the opportunity. So, moving on to a movie that I was really anticipating and have not been able to go see it. Which may be a familiar theme, because I've only been able to watch stuff on the small screen. But let's remember that Jennifer Hudson is playing Aretha Franklin in the biopic called Respect. And currently on Rotten Tomatoes, with the critics, it has a 69%, and with fans, it has a 95%. And I was truly hoping that Jennifer Hudson would bring it, and I believe that she probably has done so. Now, what I have watched is the third season of Titans. Titans is a DC comic property that is made it is a version of Teen Titans with Robin, Batman's sidekick, as the leader of the group. So this is a more edgier take on this whole piece. And in this third season, they introduced the Red Hood, which for people who are familiar with the Batman lore would know that is Jason Todd, a former Robin who is killed by the Joker but comes back to life to seek vengeance on all those he thinks have done him wrong and all those who have do wrong against society, with the ultimate punishment of death to those that he does not agree with. Since the season only had 4 episodes released, and that's what's going on a lot with television, is that we're getting these partial episodes because filming had to stop because of COVID. So I did enjoy what I watched off the first 4 episodes of the third season. I think it's going to be a pretty good watch. One thing that I picked up on, one night I was at home and I was like, man, I heard about this one show. I really don't know about it, but I ain't got nothing else to watch. Let me just throw it on. And that show was Grace and Frankie. Have you ever heard of Grace and Frankie?
Not at all.
Basically, it stars...
is that a sitcom?
It's a sitcom. It stars Jane Fonda and Lily Tomlin.
How old is this movie?
I'm sorry?
How old is this movie? Is this like in 87?
No, this is a new series that started in
It started in 2016, and it's in its 7th season.
Oh, okay. I better get hip.
It also released like 4 episodes in the 7th season because of it was interrupted due to COVID. But it is quite a lovely show. I didn't know that I was missing this in my life. And that's the great thing about what's going on now is that you can like tune into something you heard about a few years ago and catch it now and be like, oh wow, I got so much content to review and really get a feel for that show. You know, I am now.
God bless you.
And forever probably will be a fan of Grace and Frankie. So it was a nice little thing that I experienced.
Okay.
The other piece here that is making a lot of waves in a positive way is Marvel's What If. What If is in its first season. What If is a concept. It's animated. So Disney is animating this. This show looks amazing. It is very, very beautiful. How it looked. The second episode, I think, will really reach our audience's heart really in a strong way because it is probably what I understand to be the last performance of Chadwick Boseman as T'Challa. Now in this piece here, he basically what if T'Challa became Star-Lord. So this is his version. This is if he was captured by the Ravagers and then became Star-Lord. So it's a very unique take on it, and I think it's very interesting as well. So much to where he was so persuasive in his argument that Thanos was one of the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, you know, it was a really nice take. It's a marvelous. It really looks wonderful. It's a really nice piece there. And some of the biggest news, I don't know if Nick knows about this, but Spider-Man Far From Home has dropped its teaser trailer, and it looks very interesting. So interesting that one of the things that they did was they brought back Dr. Octopus, who was originally in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies from the early 2000s. So this is sort of like, I think this is going to be one of the pathways of how we get to Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, and this whole new era that's going to happen with these Marvel films where they seem to be more on a cosmic level than the grounded, well, if you want to call the ones we had previously grounded, I guess that would be a good argument compared to the mysticism and cosmic events that will happen in the near future. So that's what's going on. And yeah, there's a few birthdays today. Stifler's mom, Jennifer Coolidge, when I say Stifler, she was the first MILF that was introduced to us. She's 60, if you remember that show.
MILF. MILF.
Yeah, MILF. Okay.
For the listening audience, MILF is a mother I'd like to, you know what? That's your MILF.
Yeah, so
that's
anyway,
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was introduced to us in American Pie, and she played the mother that they were referring to. Along with that, David Fincher, who's made many films, his birthday is he's 60, he's 59. Jack Black is 52. There's Guzman. I'm sorry, he's 65, and he was the guy who played in. If you've seen him, you would know everything he played in. But the most the role that people probably remember him from most is Carlito's Way. He's the guy who flipped on Carlito.
Okay.
If you recall that. And then
I don't, because I don't do movies all like that. Go ahead.
Marjanae Wallace, she turns 18 today. She was a young lady who was the youngest ever nominated actress for an Academy Award at 9 years, 153 days of age. And she was nominated, and she did not receive the Oscar, which was a downer. But today is her 18th birthday.
But she was nominated. That's a win.
Yeah, definitely. And Eugene Byrd, you may have known him from he's an African American male actor. He's been in small roles and everything like that, but he might be most noted for his role as Wink in 8 Mile.
Okay. Now, let's talk about what's trending. The crates. Everybody's stacking up these crates, and there was a meme out there and taking the challenge of the crates. Walking up the crates without them falling down. Now, to my understanding, we know, somebody bored, this is what you do. This is trending on the internet, They're saying that this particular challenge started with crackheads. Now, this is all alleged. I guess.
Looks that way.
Yeah. You ain't got nothing to do. Like, hey, let me see you walk up there. I'll give you whatever. You know what I mean? Now, what I know, the milk crates, that's what we're talking about. And milk used to come in it. But I know the crates for music, albums. We used to carry the albums in the crates. But now they walking up, breaking their neck. Who is trying to do that? Besides these people, these young people.
But like when I see some of the videos, some of the people, and I'm not trying to pass judgment, but some of the older people did look like they may have been a drug addict. Mm-hmm. And then like something that when I seen one of them, it got me so mad because the guy pushed the cart.
Wait, somebody got a lot of interference. I got the.
The guy pushed the crate from underneath the person when they were under the thing, and she busted her head open and stuff. And I was like, he would not have did that to anybody
That's horrible.
Glimpse of respect for. So it was kind of like, but it's like the challenges. When I seen some of the videos I saw, I was like, yeah, why would these older people be trying to do this? It seemed like it was something that was derived from maybe some level of drug use addiction, or trying to get money for that habit. Mm-hmm.
Why would somebody push? That is so evil. It's so evil. You push somebody and you remove it. It's evil. It's just outright evil. That's a mess. Go ahead.
No, so I was going to say I just had seen it failed though, but there was an article where I guess CNN says Tick-Tock bans the milk crate challenge because of injuries.
Good, because it is, and you don't want other people to do it, grab, attach themselves on like the Tide Pods. I'm like, who is deciding to do that? That's nuts. Next was trending. Dale and Sonya Curry getting a divorce. So with that being said, the reason it's trending is, do you care about Steph Curry and his brother? It's their parents. So do you care about them enough to care about them getting a divorce? Probably not. However, on social media, there's a thing where a guy is telling Dale, just work it out. Don't leave. Work it out. Work it out. And he's saying all these reasons to work it out because talking with these young girls, he said about a summer he going to be wearing a t-shirt to say hottie, starting a podcast, like all these different things if he go ahead and divorce her. Did you see that, Nick?
I missed that.
You missed that? Okay. It's on there and I'll share it to the Shop Talk with Mel page. All of his comments saying dating a younger girl. It's like, just stay with your wife, work it out, and let it go. Now, here's the interesting thing about this particular trending post. He's saying that she cheated on him. Okay? Now, she's saying he cheated on her, so he doesn't want to pay her alimony. But she's saying he cheated on her. They've been married over 30 years. And she's going back saying that he cheated on her when he was in the NBA, 16 years of his NBA career. Talking about, when he was playing. That's a long time ago. Can you actually bring that up to say somebody cheated on you when you already forgave him clearly because you stayed? Can you use that?
I was just going to say with TMZ had broke their news Wednesday.
Uh-huh.
They said Wednesday that the Currys are
are each accusing one another in court documents of cheating on the other one. Dale currently reportedly had an affair with 4 different women, and Sonya says those affairs were well known to family and friends.
Back when he was in the NBA a long time ago.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Dale Curry has shot back that Sonya is dating former New England Patriots tight end Steven Johnson, who goes back to the days when both Dale and Sonya were student athletes at Virginia Tech, and so was he. Sonya claims that her relationship with Johnson did not begin until after
they were separated.
Allegedly separated last year.
Right. Now, a whole year separated. But her saying that he cheated on her and the family knew, it was a family secret or a well-known family secret. This was when he was this was a while, this wasn't recent. This is a long time ago, and you stayed. So if you were in a relationship and you stay and you know this, why bring that up now? Or is this like the whole Bill Cosby type thing?
Well, it looks here, it says Dale is further trying to deny alimony to Sonya, saying that she has been living with Johnson in Tennessee. But Sonya says that that this is untrue, and she is living alone after Dale kicked her out of the house.
Yeah, so she's been separated a whole year. But my thing is, how do you be with somebody, and if you know that this person cheated on you, this was an important family, or what did she say? Well, a family known secret. You chose to stay. How do you bring that up now? Like, it's over. When you stayed, it's over. I mean, help me to understand what's going on.
Yeah, there's no sense in bringing any of that up now. Decided to stay. Sit there, shut up, and take it. You've been taking it all these years. What's the problem with it now? It should have been a problem when it first started. You should have been out there.
And why? Because he was in the NBA, right? That's probably why she ain't say nothing.
Right. But so now, take you. Because I don't care if it was an NBA or not. You could have got some of that NBA money by leaving him and getting your alimony instead. No. All right. I don't understand people.
I think she had no kids, though. They got 3 kids. Maybe she was sticking in there for the kids.
She would have got paid. Like that one. Remember she dropped that baby off? Remember she dropped that baby out and then what? A week later she left the young dude. We talked about that last week. Yeah. And getting paid millions. So.
Yeah. I think why would you stay for the kids? You're showing them that type of thing is okay, and it's not. So that's like, people kill me when they blame the kids. Oh, I stayed for my kids. No, you stayed and got abused because you were trying to stay for your kids because you wanted your kids to have a 2-parent home. No, so now your kids grew up. Your boys grew up thinking it's okay to hit a woman, and your daughter's thinking it's okay for a man to hit them. No, stop blaming everything on these kids. I stayed for the kids.
I don't think that they had a situation with physical abuse. I don't know about.
I'm just saying, people left the stuff on their kids. Period.
I'm not saying. I mean, they're both bad. But if you're being physically abused, then you need to leave that environment.
Right.
You know, that's. I mean,
that situation. Leave. Don't bring it up now because he was cheating. He was cheating on you the whole time. You know about it then. Take your kids away because now you're showing your kids it's okay to have that type of relationship when you're married. No, it's not. No. It's prevailing for what Richard report. You are pledging yourself before God and man to that person only. If this person has a continuous problem of cheating, then you need to do what you got to do. Pick up and move. I don't care how much money he was making. It don't matter.
No. I'm trying to think. Is there any mention of monogamy in marriage vows?
You know that.
Now that's
I'm just asking a question.
You know what? I don't remember hearing that. Wait a minute. I don't remember hearing that in my vows. All you heard was the promise that you'll have to the other person.
Right.
But I didn't. See what I'm saying? You starting stuff. That's why I love this show.
But see, but in the Bible, don't it say thou shalt not cover
another man's wife?
Another man's wife.
But if it ain't another man's wife, though, you know what I'm saying?
So you could cover the side chick.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, what if the person's not married? Like, so, you know, I mean, like it's telling you as the outside person that you shouldn't covet somebody else's wife, right? It's telling you that. But is it telling
the husband, the couple that?
It also says about fornicating and you're not married. So therefore, it covered all that. Don't say it, but it's covering all of that.
It's covering all of it.
Huh?
It's covering all of it.
It's covering all of it, y'all. Quit playing. Y'all know how to interpret the Bible. There's
a article that is in Brides on brides.com, and it says monogamy agreement are the new wedding vows. So I didn't get a chance to read it.
We're gonna talk about it next week on Shop Talk. Today's footnote: your smile is your logo, your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having experiencing you becomes your trademark. So remember that. All right. I love you guys for listening. Remember, next week we're gonna break this marriage thing down, and we're gonna have somebody on here. We're gonna put a counselor up on here, marriage counselor, and have us let us know.
No one going Sunday. There's Sunday.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
don't
so
sink. Don't sink. Yeah, we're going to cover it next week. So, listen. Find you, embrace you. Most importantly, always, always love you. Until next week, people. Shop Talk. Almost.